Here we go. So see, as you can see, I'm learning too that I haven't recorded before. Now, do you see the red dot, the blinking red dot in the upper left-hand corner of your screen? Or do you see where it does say recording on your screen? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so again, here on slide 4, this talks about a little bit about the LTC. And we're here to support you in any way we can around your technology needs. There are different groups out there that you can post questions to. So sometimes I use this if I don't know something. Sometimes I'm hesitant about posting because I'm like thinking, should I know that already? But hopefully once you can get over that mindset, then you'll post to the community. It's very similar if you're on any groups on Facebook where you see people post messages to. If I go to the LTC community, what this is just a platform for people to ask questions and people to respond. So if you were just joining up for the LTC community, you would have to sign up to join here. It is completely free. And it's a way to connect with other educators throughout the state of Illinois. If you see right here, since I am a member of this already, there's different groups I can become a member of. So here's the whole entire LTC community. There's almost 1,000 members. And here's the Google community as well. In the Google community, there's a little over 300. And what's nice about this is people can post questions, whether they've learned something new or here's what Google pushed out. They could also ask a question. So I was working with a teacher the other day. She wasn't very comfortable with posting here to the community yet. So I posted for her. She had questions about teacher ease in Google Classroom. So then you can see right here, 3 people commented right here on this thread, and then 2 people responded to me privately. So you can respond back to the thread or you can respond back to them privately. So as you can see, there's a lot of, people have questions about Google Form to Google Doc integration. So Google Forms and individual feedback. So any question, whether you're a new user or been using Google for a while, any question you may have, feel free to put here. And it's kind of neat to see who responds. So that was the LTC community. We have some other things here. We have online learning too. So feel free to check that out as well. So today what we are going to do is learn about the Google certifications. So you might have heard about it and you might not know where to get started. You may already have started. So hopefully we'll clarify and get your questions answered that you have. We'll talk about resources out there, the process, and registering for the exam. And then we will go over the certified trainer as well if that's something that you might be interested in. So with the Google certifications, if you do become certified level 1 and 2, or you can become just certified level 1, you get a badge. And with that badge, you can put on your email, you can put in presentations that you may do. So it just lets people know, hey, they are Google certified level 1, level 2. Do you get paid to be certified? You don't. Google doesn't pay any of us. It's just a recognition. They built up the certification process to make people value it. So they've been able to convince many of us to learn about their products and help other people learn about the products as well. Again, Google's purpose of doing this is just so you get to know about all of the apps that they have out there. And especially with it being, web-based, they can push out updates whenever they would like. So if some of you have been using Google Meets, you might have seen the updates that they pushed out, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, in Google Classroom, so with the Google Meets. So again, constantly learning, things are constantly changing, but that's not a bad thing. So you might ask, why should I get Google certified? Here's a few different reasons. Again, when I went on my journey of certification, I wanted to learn as much as I could. It was the free platform Google had that I could learn about the different apps and how I could incorporate it into the classroom. Other people might want to list it on their resume, challenge themselves. It could be for various reasons. Feel free to, I'm sorry, I keep hitting my mouse here. Feel free to list what else of why you might want to become Google certified in the chat there as well. I know so this list on your resume, I was in a training last summer and a teacher was wanting to become Google certified. She had to leave early for around lunchtime to leave for an interview with the school district because she was looking at changing school districts. And during that interview process, they had asked her if she had her Google certification. She said no, but she said, well, how ironic, because she was taking the workshop that day to learn about becoming Google certified. So the school district liked that because, again, if you are Google certified, you've got the knowledge and you're just trying to better yourself with the knowledge of the Google apps out there and hopefully how you can incorporate them into your classroom. So again, there may be some other reasons out there. Julie and Stephanie, do you want to talk about maybe what your reasoning was behind it or becoming Google certified?
You've already listed mine in your slide there. I just wanted to know more about the G Suite applications and how to use them effectively in my classroom, and then how to teach other teachers in my district.
Okay, perfect.
Same here. Pretty much just wanted to learn as much as there was out there, more than just what I was using myself. I know there's always more, and a push from you, always pushing me. I thank you for that. But yeah, just being able to use it within the classroom and even I use it personally just within my own things that I do with my household.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Julie and Stephanie, for sharing that. And yeah, it is always nice to have a buddy to learn and go through this process with you. If you don't, let me know. I would love to be that buddy to help you and to give you that little push to keep going, because I'll tell you some stories as we're going through the certification process today. But this last bullet here, it did remind me of what it was to be a student. To be honest, I was nervous for the exam. I remember, my hands being sweaty and while taking the exam, my hand cramping because I think I was maybe holding the mouse too hard and I didn't realize it until I let go of the mouse. So it did remind me a lot of what maybe we put our students through. Okay, so to get started here, Google has this fundamental training that's out there that is free to use. So I'm going to go there. This link here should take you there, this Teacher Center with Google. So with this training, here's getting started with Google for Education. And you can register here. This is something new, I think within the last few months, that you can have some videos pushed out to you in your email. If not, you can always find them here. What we're going to concentrate on today is this fundamentals training level 1 and level 2. But before I go into this level 1, I want you to jump down here, and here's some other slide decks and videos that they have if you're learning about Google Slides, Google Docs, that they have. Again, it's free, that you can use. It's another resource you've got. So they've added several new ones here over the course of the last month. So always keep checking back to see what else they've got. Another thing they've got here is devices training. So if you're new to Chromebooks or Android tablets, again, here's some course and work you can learn about that. A certified trainer course. If you need to teach coding or computer science in your classroom, they've got this. Applied digital skills, digital citizenship. So if you're, you know, a classroom teacher and they're asking you to teach digital citizenship and you don't know where to get started, this is a great place here. So as you can see, lots of resources here, probably more there than any of us have time to look at all of them. Okay, so going into this fundamentals training, this is what I would suggest to still complete. If you have been using Google for years, do you have to complete all of this? No, you don't. That is up to you. So if you haven't signed in, you'll want to come up here and hit sign in, and then you'll want to sign in to one of your accounts. I will tell you, I did do the my certification all through my personal account, so that I just had it on my personal account if I did leave districts or leave this job. So you might want to put it with your personal account. What if you've started it already and on your work account, can you move it to your personal account? You can. I don't honestly know the process of doing that, but there is a way that it does transfer. So don't panic over that. If you look down here, so we'll just go ahead and jump into one of these units. Let's go to Unit 3, have a mostly paperless classroom. So when you click on here, it gives you an introduction. It'll tell you about the products you will cover, and then it says what skills you will need. I will tell you that when starting to do some of this training, I didn't know about Google Forms, but if I wanted to go to Google Forms Create, I could learn how here, and I could click on Learn How, and that takes me to this website. For me, as a learner, this didn't help me. This was overwhelming. I don't know why, but I didn't like this setup. Again, everyone's different, so you might like it, but that was just my own personal experience. So what I did, sometimes I would skip this if I didn't know something, and then I would just jump into the training. Again, if you've been using Forms for a while or some of these other apps and you think you know all about it, you don't have to do these lessons. So don't get hung up on thinking you have to complete all of these units before you take your exam. It usually does give you an expected lesson time. Again, when I first went on this journey here, I was learning about some of these apps. So if I really wanted to learn it and understand it, it might have taken me a little bit more than the 17 minutes. Again, that's just an average time, and it depends on your skill set. So once I go through the lesson here, I have a lesson check down here. Again, do I have to complete it? I don't, but with the lesson check, it says we'll just look at the first question here. You can add content to Google Drive by dragging and dropping files from your computer directly into your Google Drive. So you can put true or false, and then when you hit check answer, it'll say correct or incorrect. If I come down here to a question that is multiple choice, do you see how on this question it says select all that apply? So if I say, oh, I think you can do that, I think you can do those, well, I'll just pick all of them here. And when I picked all of them there, it says check answer correct. I was trying to get it wrong. So you can see I unclick that and it says nope, try again. So I can go back and change it. Now when I go to the next lesson, I can go to the next lesson down here in the bottom right. And then it takes me to the next lesson. As you can see, the next lesson's here. So there's a few different ways you can navigate around this page. Again, if I think I already know all of this here, I can skip to the unit review. And with the unit review here, on this one it says, oh, I got 6 out of 6 right. But let's say for some reason I didn't, and I answered him, I submitted my answers, and then it says, oh, you got 5 out of 6 right. You got an 83%. Can I move on even though I didn't get them all right? I can. Again, Google just wants you to be aware of everything that's out there, and this is supposed to help you with the exam. Everything on here, of course, is not on the exam, but again, just to increase your knowledge about Google. So can I go back, if I like that perfect score there, can I go back and change, edit my answer? I can. If I'm still not for sure about it, I could revisit lesson, or I could just keep on clicking until I find the right combination of the right answers. Again, this is just practice. So, if I go back and I click that, I think it's those 3 answers, then I can go back and hit submit answers again. And then it says, woohoo, I got 6 out of 6 right, my 100%. So what this does on the unit reviews, it does keep track of your answers. If you go back to review, those will be there. But if you go back to each lesson, at the bottom, the lesson checks, it doesn't memorize your answers. So when you go out of it, your answers are erased. And the lesson, at the end of each lessons for the lesson check. But on the unit review, your answers, how you answered them, will stay there. So this is the fundamentals training. This is the level 1. And there's 13 units here in the level 1. And again, do you have to do all of the 13 units? You don't, but I will tell you, my journey, again, I was trying to learn as much as I could. And so I did go through all of the lessons and lesson checks and reviews. So Stephanie, Julie, do you want to say anything about the Google training here online? Feel free to put it in chat if there's anything else you want to add or think of it, or think of anything else. So then when I'm done with all of the lessons and I think I'm ready for the exam, where it says learn more here, become a Google certified educator level 1, it takes me to the certification. I was still at the same place. So I could have clicked on that link. Again, there's plenty of different ways to navigate around this. Here was the training. The training tab is where I do the training I just showed you, the fundamentals training level 1. If I'm ready to get my certification, I can go to this tab here, certification, and educator level 1 right here. And I click on that. And then it says register for the level 1 exam. Also on this page, I'll come back to that here in a second since this is loading. So then to register for the level 1 exam, I would have to fill all of this information out. And then again, I would make sure, my personal experience, I made sure I was in my personal account to take this exam. So do you see how it's got my work account here? I would have to make sure I'm signed into my personal account and I use that. It won't let me change it. So make sure then you've got, you're signed into your personal account when you fill this out. And then you just save it. And then it's, this is you creating a login and a password for the account. Then once you do this, then it will take you to a web assessor account where that's where you will actually register for the exam. So I think I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here about talking about the exam. Again, I don't mean to stress anybody out, but I just wanted to, since I was right there, I wanted to show you that. And that was under the certification. Another thing under the certification, if I go back into the educator level 1, the training, so I could get to the training here. This is that fundamentals training I just showed you. Here's get practice. Here's some sample exam questions. Feel free to take a look at. And then get certified. Here's some exam details. And we'll talk more about the exam here in a little bit. But if you're going back to the slide deck here, here on slide 11, it talks about the fundamentals training here. So again, if you don't remember everything that I talk about, you've got it here on the slide deck, and then I am recording this. So this.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
You want to show them real quick how to add it to their drive, how to add the slide deck to their drive?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Okay, so to add the slide deck to my drive, so this slide deck from today here. So if I go down and I copy the link, so what I'm doing, I'm just copying the link from the chat room. And the shortcut key to copy is Control-C on a Chromebook or laptop, or Command-C. And then that was on a MacBook. And then again, Control-V or Command-V to paste it. And here is the slide deck that I've got. So this is what your screen should look like. So I'm in my personal account right now. And here on my personal account, I'm not the owner of it. My work account is. So then, do you see where my mouse is up here? It says Add Shortcut to Drive. If I'll click on that, and I can add it to my drive right now, or if I want, I can double click on my drive. I can put it in a folder I already have, or I can create one. So I could, if I want to create a Google Workshop folder of all of the slide decks that I'll be getting, if I'm taking multiple workshops here in the next week or two or next month or whatever, I can put them all here defined. When I do, I click on Create Folder, and then right here, I should be able to add this shortcut to my drive in the Google Workshop folder. Does that make sense? Any other questions about that? So then when I, later on, after the workshop, whether it's today, tonight, tomorrow, or a month or a year from now, and I'm thinking, oh, I did that Google certification course, I'm ready to look into it right now, then what I can do is I can go to my drive, and then in my drive, then this should be there in the folder that I have it. If I can't remember what folder I put it in, I don't think I didn't. I'll just add it to my drive right here. So at any time I can go and hit undo if I need to, but nope, I want it to my drive. Then if I go to my drive, it should be there. If I don't see it yet, I can come up here and hit refresh. And when I hit refresh, it should just be right here in my quick access, because that is what I just added, but I don't see it. So if you don't see it sometimes, then what you could do is you could search your drive. I could go down here and go to, I know it's a presentation, it's a slide deck. I know it wasn't owned by me, it was owned by a specific person. If you remember who I am, if not, you can just search for not owned by me. And if I know it was something, if you know the exact name, you could put the name there, but if you don't, you could put, if you think you know something, that it had Google certification in it, and hit search. And right here, the Google certification, there we go, there's a slide deck from today. And then it should, since I've added it to my drive, that triangle there should have been, it's just, it's removed, and it's just a folder now. And it says, do I want to add another shortcut to drive? You used to be able to click here. Well, you can click on here and it'll show you which folder it's in. I didn't put it in the folder, it's just in my drive. So hopefully that helps. And we'll move back to this. So thank you, Julie, for letting me know about that. And again, if you're still unclear about that, I can go over that at the end as well. Here on slide 11, I've got the fundamentals training. So here it tells me unit 1 is going to take approximately 85 minutes, and there's 5 lessons. But again, it depends on your skill set, whether you have to go through everything before you take the exam. I've worked with some teachers that they've been using Google for a long time. They were confident in their test taking skills, and they thought they would just give the Google certification exam a try. You can sure do that. So again, there's differentiation in this, but it's out there for those of us who might need it to increase our knowledge about Google and Google Apps. Again, this is just some screenshots of the lesson, what you will learn. Then it also has what skills you will need. The lesson check and the unit review. So remember the lesson check, it won't keep your answers there when you go back into it if you leave it, but that's okay. But it will on the unit review keep your answers there. Again, do you have to have 100% on the unit review? You don't, because this is just the training for the exam. Same thing with level 2, very similar. And if I go into level 2 again here, I go back to training here. And I go to advanced training. And here it says, oh, I've got 10 of 11 units in this course completed. Here it shows I've completed lesson 1 and I have 4 more lessons to go. Again, do you have to finish all of this before you take the exam? You don't, but this is for the second part of lesson for level 2 training. So there's a level 1 certification and a level 2. You might ask, what's the biggest difference between the two? It's just a few more apps that they introduce to you. I noticed some of the apps that were in the Google level 2 training, I didn't maybe use so much in the classroom. Some of the other, like they'll ask you about forms again. In level 1, they'll ask you about Google Forms. Level 2, they will too, but they may ask you a few different skill sets and maybe a little bit more advanced skill sets. Hopefully, if you've been using Google Forms, you know, you're increasing your knowledge with it. Julie or Stephanie, feel free to interrupt me if you want to say anything about the difference between Google level 1, level 2, or anything that you would like to.
Can I ask a question about the certification stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen college classes in different places that offer this training and the classes, but you're saying we could do this online. We can do all this online. We don't have to actually go to a class to do the training and the learning. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you'll see out there on the websites, there's some people who, some companies that say, oh, become Google level 1 certified with us. And some of them, they may charge around $300 to take their course. Again, if you have lots of money to spend on that, go for it. I'm not trying to discourage you for that, but coming from the education world, and I just didn't have an extra $300 laying around that I could spend on that. So no, you don't. So great question. Thanks for asking.
I had looked at a college grad class, but this is a lot cheaper than paying for a college grad class. So online is great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Diane, thanks for asking that question. And you'll find, you know, you might ask some questions today. I might not know the answers to it, but if not, we will find out, and maybe someone in this group today might know your answer. So yeah, thank you for asking that question. And yeah, the teacher in me, I would love for everyone to be able to unmute and ask all of your questions right now, but I'm just trying to learn how to manage a bigger group and realize that that's not always possible. But I'm glad you interrupted us, Diane, because that is a great question. So the certification process. So the level 1 exam, to take that exam, Google does charge you $10. If you take any of our workshops, which our workshops here are totally free online right now. We do have some online classes that can help you prepare for these if you go to the online class as well. But if you do take some of our workshops preparing you for the certification process, we do have a voucher for you for free that you can use. Next week, if some of you are wondering, yeah, today's Friday. Next week, if you look at slides 34 and 35, we've got some workshops next week, and these workshops do go in line with the level 1 certification. So if you want to take any of these to help out, feel free. And then at the end, I'll have, at the end of the week, I'll have a voucher that you can use to get the exam, to get the exam for free. So if you go back to that one slide that I was just on, level 2 exam does cost $25. Again, we've got a voucher for it. Tuesday and Thursday, I just did the level 2 certification. I'll probably roll that out again, either here sometime in May or in June. So I might roll out the level 1 certification workshop again in 2 parts as well. So if you don't like it spread out, like I've got next week, then look for it maybe here in the future in May or June that we'll put it into 2 days instead of over 3 or 4 days. So with this voucher though, so let me go over some of this here. If you do sign up to receive a voucher from us, make sure you do allow up to 24 hours to get the voucher from us in case if it's a weekend we're not checking email or something, because I get an email alerting me that you've applied for a voucher. I do, the teacher in me still, I do try to check my email on the weekends and still do work here on the weekends, but I don't think I'll ever stop doing that. But so just allow up to 24 hours. And then once you sign up for your exam, then Google lets you know that it may take up to 24 hours for them to process the exam for you, and you will have 8 days to complete it. Some places it says 7 days, but I know some of the people who just signed up for the exam within the last couple of weeks, it gave them 8 days to complete it. If you don't finish it within 8 days, if you don't, start it and finish it within 8 days, then you just have to pay again and sign up for it. But you have to wait 14 days to do that. So here's, once you receive your exam, we'll spend some time talking about the exam here, but once you receive your exam, you'll get an email, and then make sure you read the directions. And I think I've got an example of that email in here. Then you will begin your exam. You've got 180 minutes to take it. It is timed, and you've got to take it in one sitting. You can't start it and stop it. You've got to have a working webcam, because intermittently they'll take your picture. During the Google Level 1 exam, I didn't pay attention when they took it, but on the Google Level 2 exam, I did feel like I saw a flash at times. You will not use your Google account for anything for the exam. Google creates a Google account that you will use during the exam. So you don't have to worry about if your Google Drive is a hot mess or whatever. You won't touch your Google Drive during the exam. Another thing to help you with the exam, some people take it together, or they have another computer there that they can search questions. Can you do that? You can. I will tell you 30% of the people who take the exam for the first time fail it. The reason why, or 30% of the people who take the exam the first time, they fail it because they run out of time. They think it's like an open book test. I don't know if you ever had to take those in high school or college, and you feel like, oh, open book test, you don't have to study for it or be prepared for it. Well, this one's timed, and you only have a certain amount of time then to get the questions answered. So then people run out of time if they're having to search for many of the questions that are asked on there.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
I have a question of how long the voucher will be good for.
Okay, great question. So the voucher, once you take our Google Level 1 or Level 2 certification workshops, you can then fill out a voucher. We ask when you're going to think you're going to take the exam, just because the LTC does have to pay for those vouchers. So it's just like with anything. If you don't have a goal or a date set, you might keep putting it off or not use it. So we do ask that you use it within 30 days of you requesting the voucher. So today's May 1st. Let's say you take the workshops next week and you request a voucher and you want to take it by, let's say, June 15th. Even though that's a little bit more than 30 days, that's allowed. I did have a teacher one time, she requested a voucher and she wanted to take it right then and there. And, you know, we've got, I don't know if it was on the weekend or whatever, and she didn't get the voucher right away. So she went ahead and spent the $10 on the voucher. So when she eventually got the voucher, she emailed us back and says, oh, I already took the exam, I passed it, I don't need this voucher. So then we could put that voucher back in use and allow another teacher to use it. So the vouchers, I don't know if I answered that. Again, we would like that you just request it within approximately 30 days of when you think you might take the exam. Again, because you might forget about it or decide you don't want to take it. We can't allow anybody else to use that voucher if we've sent it to you. So feel free, you know, think you'll use it. Please use it. That saves you $10 for the level 1 and $25 for the level 2. So yeah, great questions. Thanks. For the exam, then, you do have to have a score of a minimum of 80% to pass it. If you get less than an 80%, it will send you an email and say, oh, you got a 70%, and give you a few suggestions of what to practice on before you take it again. If you, for some reason, if you would fail it the first time, you would have 14 days. You have to wait 14 days before you could take it again. And then if you, I don't know if I have it on here, if you would fail it a second time, I think you have to wait either 30 or 60 days, but we can look that up for sure. I don't know if I have it somewhere on one of these slide decks, or if someone knows, feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. So what's on the exam? I haven't talked about that. So on the exam, you've got about 20 multiple choice questions. I know some people might have had 25, and it's, besides multiple choice, there could be, you know, you order, drag and drop, and even matching questions. And then you have 10 to 12 performance-based scenarios using G Suite apps. And again, you're using the Google Drive that they give you. You use the Google account that they give you. So you, again, do not touch your Google account during this time. We do have here Google certification test tips. Whoops. That you can look at to give you, you know, some information. One thing you will need to know how to do is how to pin a tab. If you look at my tabs up here, I've got some of them that it doesn't tell me what they are, and it doesn't have the X, so I can't accidentally close them. So I usually pin the tabs of things that I'm working on currently, and my chat, my email, calendar, and I usually have my Drive pinned up here so I can access it easily. So how do you pin a tab? You can right click on any tab and hit pin. When you hit pin, do you see how it goes smaller? And then if I right click here, if I want to unpin it, I can. But when I right click up here, I have some of these other options. So as you're working throughout the day, if you get a bunch of tabs open and you don't want them all open, you can just close all of these tabs here to the right instead of going and hitting the X. But sometimes in the classroom, if a student needed to work on my computer at times and I still had tabs open on it, and when they got done, they would close all of my tabs. So if I wanted to make sure they weren't closed on accident, I would just pin a tab. I can, again, right click on it and unpin. So where did I get this? I am on slide 18. And on slide 18, we've got this Google certification test tips. So a couple other things here that I'll talk about. You do make sure you do have the latest version of Chrome operating system. Oh, the other thing they want you to know is how to use an incognito window, or what that is. Again, some of these things I do cover in the Google Level 1 certification workshop, or the workshops next week, because basically the workshops next week, I've kind of just broken them down into days, because usually these Level 1 and Level 2 workshops, they are 6 or 7 hours long. So that's why next week I kind of spread that out. But the incognito window, if I come up here to the 3 dots to the right of my Google Chrome, the 3 dots here just says new incognito window. And what that does, it opens up this window. Sometimes school districts disable this. They block it so that students and teachers can't get to this. But on your personal device, you should be able to. And it just allows, as you can see, it doesn't keep track of your cookies. It doesn't keep track of your browsing history. So does that mean I can go and look up inappropriate websites? It doesn't. I at first thought, oh, with that incognito window, I can see why schools disable it so that kids aren't looking up things. But even if schools do keep this enabled, they could still see the websites you visit. Your internet service provider could as well. So it's just, have you ever looked up airplane tickets during the day that we could travel, and then later on you saw ads about that airplane, or you saw ads about your destination? Or if you looked up airplane tickets a week from the date that you originally looked it up, maybe did the airplane tickets go up in price? So some people want to use the incognito window while they're looking up, airplane tickets, hotel reservations. So then those ads won't pop up later when they're searching in Google Chrome. Another thing someone said, for Christmas presents, they go to incognito to look things up. So then those ads of those UGG boots or whatever they were buying their kids for Christmas, the ads didn't pop up later. So that's the incognito window. And how do you get to that? The 3 buttons. Again, I'm not here to stress you out, just trying to let you know there's so much out there for us to learn. Do I know everything? I don't. I am, constantly learning about everything out there as well.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
With the incognito window, if you are using a school-issued device and they don't allow you to use that, if you talk to your tech, they can temporarily disable it so that you can use the window for the test and then turn it back on. I had to do that at our school.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. And make sure you give them a couple days, and you don't expect it to be turned on within a matter of minutes. So maybe check with that before you register for the exam. So yeah, perfect. Thanks, Stephanie. And again, during the test, don't forget you can have another device there. I've had some school districts where several teachers took the exam together. Again, personal choice. I knew when I took the exam, I didn't want other people around because I knew how I was as a test taker. And I didn't want them slowing me down because I didn't know if I would, get done in the 3 hours. It took me 2.5 hours to take the exam. And a couple things with the exam. You have the multiple choice or drag and drop questions first. And then up at the top of the screen, you've got how many minutes you have left. One nice thing about the exam, it does let you know on the multiple choice questions is it'll say select 2 of the 4 answers. That helped out immensely. When I took my level 1 exam the first time, or when I took it, I didn't see that until I went back and checked my answer. So because I wasn't looking up at the top of the screen because I didn't want to see the time and have the time affect, try to rush me along. So when you are taking the exam, you can mark questions to come back to later. will you have time to go back to all of the questions? You won't, or most people won't, I should say, but feel free to mark some of them. And then the ones I did mark, and that's when I figured out and saw up at the top of the screen that it says, oh, select 2 of the 4. When I saw that, then I'm like, oh, then I know for sure I have the 2 answers correct. So then I moved on to the next one. So that helped out immensely. So if you can see that before you start taking the exam, I think that will save you time. So again, you can mark whether it's some scenarios or the multiple choice or the drag and drop. You can mark anything. So then after the 2.5 hours, I went back and checked my answers, and then I made sure I submitted it with at least a few minutes left, because I didn't want there to be an error if I didn't submit it before the time was up. So after the test, then your results, a computer grades it. They've got a program set up that will grade your test. Your test doesn't have to look pretty. So if it says for you to create something, do exactly what it says and don't worry about how it looks. So if it says for you to insert a picture, feel free to insert a picture. Don't worry about, if it doesn't tell you to center it or anything, don't worry about centering it. Just put the picture in. And then after the test, you know, if you do take and get certified for the level 1, 2, and maybe the Google trainer, you know, create a Google folder to keep all of your certificates and badges in. So again, I didn't say everything that was on that test tips, but you have that available for your use later. So some of the apps and topics covered on part 1 of the exam. Here's some of the apps, and I think, trying to think, that might be the majority of them, if not all of them. And then, so if you look at slide 20, and again, in the level 1 and level 2 workshops that we do have challenges in there. So these challenges that we have are very similar to the scenarios and tasks that they may ask of you during the exam. It is, if you can have 2 screens with the directions on one screen and you know, having the Gmail open from the Google Drive that they give you, they'll give you a Gmail account with a separate, or the Google account will have its own Gmail account in it. You don't touch yours at all. If you can have that on another screen. If not, I did use my laptop and I just had to go back and forth between the tabs. But I wanted to double check that I did each step. And then here on slide 21 and 20, or just on 21 here, we've got the apps and topics covered on level 2. So feel free to reference that before you take that. Here's, again, some more suggestions. Before signing up for the exam, create a folder and bookmark topics that you are unsure about. I know some people that have taken our level 1 and level 2 workshops, they have had those slide decks open to refer back to for the exam. That's helped some people. Again, I think it depends on your skill set, but anything, you can refer back to things. It's not locked down. Other tabs aren't locked down, like when you administer the state test or the MAP test with your students. They can't go to any other tabs. You can with this exam. Did I interrupt someone? Did someone have a question? Okay. Yeah, make sure you do have a stable internet connection. You know, if you know your Wi-Fi is not the best at your house, see if you can go somewhere that it is more stable, or if you can use your hotspot on your phone if you have one. Or I do know, you know, some schools are letting their teachers to come in during this time to take the exam there as well. But make sure you do set aside 3 hours to complete the exam. again, some people, it depends on your skill set and your test taking skill. Some people can get done with the exam in 2 hours. So again, don't, you know, think, oh, it's going to definitely take you two and a half hours, because that's how much time it took me. But then I used the extra half-hour time to go back and check my answers, or check the ones I marked, because I didn't have time to go back and go back through every question and every scenario. Someone asked, you know, can you know, go get up and go use the restroom during that 3 hours? I've heard two different stories. I heard someone do that. They came back and they were then locked out of their exam. They couldn't get back into it. I heard another person took the exam while she was a librarian, and there were high school kids taking an exam in the library with the teacher. So she couldn't help other students or no other students could come in to the library during that time. So she went ahead and took the exam at that time. Well, she went out on hall duty for 5 minutes and came back in the middle of her exam. Her exam was still up. So I've heard two stories. One person's exam was still up, one person's exam they were locked out of. So then that person had to pay the money again and retake the exam. If anything, if you've got a laptop and you've got the camera on there, you know, if you need to walk around or something, just make sure, carry that, your laptop in there, and make sure they can still see you on the camera, would be my advice. But again, you can, you know, search it, you know, if you have questions on the internet, on your phone a friend. Again, I've heard other teachers take it together and have someone there to, you know, if they had a quick question to ask, they could refer to them. So again, lots of different ways you can take it. But again, during the exam, with the scenario task, just make sure that you've got multiple steps, that you double check that you complete each step, because remember, a human's not grading this, a computer is. So if they see that you've skipped steps, you know, the computer can easily pick up on that and mark that wrong. But during all of this, just remember to breathe. That if, you know, for some reason, if you do fail it, you know that you can take it again in 14 days. So let me show you, so registering for the exam, you know, you go here where what I showed you in the beginning, but again, I'm giving you a lot of information. Don't be hard on yourself if you can't remember something I said 45 minutes ago. So you'll have the slide deck to refer back to. You've got the LTC community you can post questions out to. You have my email that you can send emails to. I will tell you, I'm behind on a few emails right now, but I try to get all of them answered. If for some reason you don't hear from me, I usually say 24 hours. I'll say 24 to 48 hours. Feel free to email me again. I did have one teacher from DMAC. He emailed me and I never got the email. This happened earlier in the year, and I showed him my email. I did a search in Gmail and for emails, you know, from him, there was nothing there. So again, another reason, email me again. Maybe it didn't come through for some reason. That was a freak thing. I don't know why that original message I never received. So going back here on slide 25, here's the login I showed you. Make sure you're logged into your Google account that you want the certificate to be attached to. Again, I use my personal account, but feel free to use your work account. There is a way I think you can transfer it. Here, then, this is your web assessor account then. So once you initially register here, it's going to take you here. So when you register, you're just registering for the web assessor account. This kind of might be a little confusing. Again, log in here, save it. Then if you go here on slide 26, it'll take you to here. You've got these tabs up here. So you can see your certifications here, see the receipts. Register for an exam is where you need to go. And then this is if this is your first time doing the level 1, click on level 1. And then this is where you would put in the voucher from the LTC if you get one from us. Do you have to? No, you don't have to. It was just LTC's way of trying to help teachers out even more. Click on then level 1. This is the same place. Then you would go here for the level 2 as well, and the trainer one as well if you get that one. But right here, register for the exam. So, and then afterwards, you can see all of your assessments you took here. It'll show you the date. And then with these certifications, the certifications, level 1 and level 2, are only good for 36 months, for 3 years. So then in 3 years' time, with the level 1, if you want to take this recertification test, it's not the entire exam that you take the first time. For the level 1, it is just multiple choice questions. The level 2, though, it's multiple choice questions in some scenarios. But I think you still get 3 hours for both of these on the recertification when your 3 years is up. I don't like to talk too much about that because I don't want to confuse you. Feel free, reach out in 3 years if you need the renewal and you have questions about it. Was someone asking a question? Okay. All right. So once you then complete this, you register for the exam. Then you will get this email. In this email, it tells you the exam length, 180 minutes. Make sure you read through this email. You'll get an email and a password. This is for the exam account. And as soon as you enter this, I think it prompts you to reset this password to something you'll remember in case if you would get logged off for some reason. You do have 5 minutes. I believe it's 5 minutes. There is a certain amount of time you have. If for some reason you accidentally close out of your tab, you can go back into it and log back in. But that's why pinning a tab is so important, so you don't accidentally close out of it. Because during this exam, you will have several applications open. You will have several files open. So again, either close what you don't need and or make sure you pin the exam so you don't accidentally close it. All right, so any questions on the Google level 1 and level 2? I know Stephanie and Julie behind the scenes, you've been doing a great job answering in chat. Thank you so much. Julie or Stephanie, anything you've been seeing a lot of being asked in chat?
I know several want to know I know you went over your upcoming workshops, but are any of them level 1 trainings that you have coming up?
Great question. So the level 1, I don't have it named level 1. What I've got is for next week, I've got these different apps, and you can take these workshops, and at the end of the week, we'll get you a voucher for the level 1 exam. What I did, I broke it up. If not, if you can't take next week, we are looking at the week of May 11th. I will do probably 2 days covering level 1. We just don't have those posted yet. So look for level 1 training the week of May 11th. If you want just 2 days, 2 half days, probably 3 hours long, going over these apps. It does move at a faster pace than what these workshops do. So that's the feedback I've gotten from some of the level 1 and level 2. I get people that are new in the level 1 or level 2 workshops, and they think I've gone too fast or didn't explain some of the apps as well or as I could. But with the time frame I've got, I'm just going over things to prep you for the exam for the level 1. So The workshops next week will go a little bit more in depth, but again, you know, with the one on Monday, it's only, oh, I have a, you know what, May 6th, I have one here too. I didn't add. I need to add the May 6th one. That's Google Forms and Sheets. So I'll get that added here in a second.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Another question a lot of them are asking is who can take the workshops? Are these open to people graduating college that are going to be teachers, people in private schools?
Yeah, right now anybody can. We're just trying to help out educators here in the state of Illinois. You know, when we're not in this virtual online world, the LTC, if you go to our website, yeah, we're in the education help. We're not a private business. We're grant funded through ISB. So we help everyone. I have had student teachers in the sessions as well. So yeah, great question.
Lisa?
Yeah.
We're also being asked, do they have to attend all the trainings that you have in the upcoming weeks to get the voucher?
No, they don't. The voucher probably, they'll have to email me so I can give them the link to fill out the voucher if they're not in all of them, because I probably won't, what is it? What's my Friday workshop? I'll probably have the voucher on the Friday workshop. So let's say if they only come Monday, Tuesday, they may have to let me know, send me an email by the end of the week to say, hey, they want the voucher. So great question. And I'm trying to find my May 6th link here. Not on that one.
Lisa, we're also being asked, we know you're recording this.
Yes.
Where are you going to post that recording so people can get to it?
Yeah, great question. I will post it, I know, on my YouTube channel. And then I don't know if the LTC will post it. If you can't find it, again, send me an email and we will get it to you. No, that won't have, so I think in my email. So what I'll do, what I was trying to look for is the May 6th registration link. I don't have that on here. May 6th, we are doing, is it Google Forms, Sheets, and Screencastify. All right, so the last thing then I'm going to talk about is the Google Trainer. Again, if you're not interested in the Google Trainer, feel free. You can leave us, that's fine. Here, don't forget on slide 36, I have the Google evaluation here for you to fill out, or I think it's on slide 2 as well. And then I'll make sure I get the May 6th one workshop there as well. So going to the trainer certification, basically, why would you want to get certified to become a Google trainer? Again, just the recognition, and if your school district is asking you to help teachers, you can say, hey, you've got this, you've got the certification. So personal preference. And then also, you know, I did learn, you know, some other things with doing my Google Trainer certification. But here's the Teacher Center. I did have a workshop, I think it was this past Wednesday, just on the Google Trainer certification. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know and we can do another workshop on it. I know Stephanie and Julie were part of that workshop, and I know they were saying that they were looking at getting they're working on their certification as we speak. Stephanie, I couldn't remember, did you take the exam already?
For the trainer?
Yeah.
Not yet. I've
Okay.
got a few more units to go through.
Yeah, and that's fine. I know someone had told me after the training workshop Wednesday they did, and I couldn't remember who it was. So with the trainer, again, you've got the course that's very similar to the level 1 and level 2. You have an assessment, sorry, my mouse keeps moving here. You have a trainer skills assessment. The assessment is only 20 to 25 questions, and it's, you know, based off of the Google world as well. You have to upload your level 1 and level 2 certificates. So you do have to have your level 1 and level 2 before you apply for that. And then you have to film a trainer video using Screencastify or any other apps out there that can take a recording of your screen. And then there's an application that you have to fill out. Then once you become a trainer, you do have to report 12 trainings or coaching sessions per year. So that could be, you know, if you're working with teachers one-on-one, you can report that, because that could be like a coaching session. You can share ideas and resources with the community of trainers. And then every year you do have to take an updated assessment. The updated assessment for the trainer is like 10 questions. So, and you can take that together with other trainers. Here on slide 31, it kind of goes over the process. It puts a check mark once you've done, submitted or completed the different steps here. And then when you turn in the application, it does say it's confirmed. The review says it can take up to 2 to 6 weeks for them to review it. Right now it's open. Here the past, I want to say at least year or two, it's always been open. In the past, they would have windows of time when it was open. Benefits of a Google trainer. Here's some things here that you can look at. You're on a directory out there that anyone in the world can see, oh, you're a Google trainer. Some people, again, earn extra income. The trainers that I've seen do that, they kind of have started it as their own business and side hustle. Some people make money. I know some people who have tried. They became a Google trainer and tried to earn extra money from it, and they didn't have any luck. I think the biggest thing there is getting your presence out there virtually, so other people can find you. And that's why I think, was it Diane asked at the beginning, like, there's other people out there that have these courses you can take that might cost $200-300 to become Google certified. And if you know ahead of time, oh, you really don't have to pay that to take the course. You can get a majority of it from the Google, or you can get all of it from the Google fundamentals from the Google website that I showed you earlier. Here on slide 33, I've got resources here. I think this one's from Eric Kurtz, and he created this checklist. I will tell you, this checklist, there's a few things on it that he needs to go back and update, but for the most part, when I look at it, it's a good checklist to get me prepared for the exam. So where it says like video hangouts and text hangouts, it's Google Meet now. So feel free to take a look at that. Again, gone over lots of information with you today, and don't expect you to remember everything. So if you do have a question at any time, feel free to reach out to the LTC community, put your question there, or send us an email. I do want to leave some time here for questions at the end, if there are any more. And while we're giving you time right here, I do want to add the May 6th registration workshop in here too. So feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions, and Julie and Stephanie, if there were more questions in chat, feel free to let us know. But for those of you who aren't going to stay around for questions, I appreciate your time in coming today. I hope this has helped you understand the Google certifications, and again, hopefully hasn't stressed you out any more than you might already be, and hopefully gives you another avenue to grow as a person and as an educator. So thank you so much for being with us.